Assalamu alaikum everyone. I hope you all are doing well. I'm here to discuss another topic in accounting information system, that is documenting accounting information system. In this topic, I'm going to discuss some important content, starting with why we are going to document the accounting information system. So, why the documentation is important. Moving on towards some primary methods of documentations, and then after the primary methods, I'll take you towards an overview of some other documentation tools which we use for the systems, and then finally we will be talking about end user computing and documentation. So, starting with our first topic, which is why the documentation is important. There are several reasons because of which we document the accounting information system, starting with number one, that says depict how the system works. So if a new person he wants to check that how a system in an organization works, the documentation of accounting information system or that system will be helpful for them. They can see all the details over there, they can go through the stuff. When I'll be teaching you some primary documentation methods, at that time you will see that up to how much extent these documentation can help the people to understand that how the system is working. Moving on to words for the new users, it's helped them in training, or you can say it helps the users to get trained. If they don't know how a particular system works, they can go through the guidelines or the manuals or some other instruction documents for that system, and it will be helpful for them that how the system works. Moving on towards the third method, that is designing the new systems. The documentation can help a new software developer or a designer that how the old system is working, and in that case it will be helpful for him that a proper structure he can maintain for the new system. Also, just like for a building, or you can say in order to make a building, the architect they have the full map of the building. Same is the case, the documentation serves like a map for the designer to design the system. Moving on towards point number 4, that says controlling system development and maintenance cost. Just like if the system is if you want to develop some new applications or some new transactions into the system, it will be helping in developing the system furthermore. And if all the things are available in form of manuals, then if some area is in trouble, in that case it will be helpful for the system developer to rectify or correct those problematic areas, so it reduces the maintenance cost of the system as well. Finally, it standardizes the communication with others. Just like if verbally you give the information to one person, that information could vary when you are verbally giving the same information to the second or third person, or maybe if you are communicating the information to one person, he is communicating to the second and then the third person. So if the communication is not in writing form, then in that case it will vary from user to user, which is not good in case of organizations. So if you want to standardize the communication among the users, in that case you have to document the systems. Moving on towards point number 6, which says that auditing accounting information system. These documented information could serve as audit trail for the auditors. It helps them in investigating the accounting information systems and making sure that internal control measures are properly applied and what are the weak areas where further controls are needed. Number 7, documenting the business processes. One way of document the business process is that document the accounting information system, because the business processes are the one which we are performing through systems. So if we document it, it will be helpful to know that how a particular process works. Then complying with the Sarbanes-Oxley Act. In 2002, Sarbanes-Oxley Act was, applied, and it requires all the public companies that whatever are the major business risk or internal control procedures, and everything what they have, they should hire a external auditor to evaluate these things. So, how the external auditor will be evaluating the systems? He will be, of course, evaluating with the help of documentation. And last but not the least, that is establishing accountability. Establishing accountability means who is responsible for a particular act. So systems are properly, if they are properly documented, then they show the flow of documents, they show the flow of actions, so they also show the flow of processes. So if there is some problem or any area which needs attention, it will be easy to understand who was responsible for performing that particular act. So there are many ways in which the documented accounting information systems could helpful, but the major we have listed over here, the 9 points are mentioned. Moving on towards the primary documentation methods, so you can see we have 4 primary documentation methods. Firstly, we have data flow diagrams. Later on this chapter, we will be denoting them with DFD, and then this data flow diagram shows the movement of data. Then comes the document flow charts. It shows the movement of physical documents from place to place. And then the system flow charts. It shows the movement of processes through the system. And the process map is also there to show the business processes. So we will be talking about them in more detail. Let's start from the data flow diagram. So the data flow diagram is actually helpful for the users in different ways. It shows that how the data flows in the system. Mostly it is helpful when you are opting a new system and you want to transfer the old data to the new system. So in that case, it will be a tool for analyzing the existing system of the company. We have different types of data flow diagrams, starting with first one, which is known as context data flow diagram. Moving on towards, we have second one, that is physical data flow diagram, and then the logical data flow diagram. If you talk about the context data flow diagram, this diagram is more it's brief and it shows an overview of the flow of data. Physical data flow diagram is more detailed, but logical is completely detailed. It shows us whole processes. There are some symbols which we use when we prepare the data flow diagrams, starting with the first square, or in some places you will also see it in a rectangle form. So this shows the external entity. Now, external entity here does not mean that it is outside the company. It means that it is outside the process. So let's suppose if a customer is placing an order and there is a sales representative who in the company who is dealing with this order, and he is sending the request to the inventory management department. So the process of releasing the inventory will take place in the inventory department, but the sales personnel is there as an external entity because he is the one who is initiating this, and also there is a customer as an external entity because he will be receiving the order. So external entity means the one who are outside the process. This moving arrow key shows us it's actually the data flow from different entities, and this circle shows us the main process about which we will be talking in detail in the physical flow and the logical flow diagram. In case of context diagram, which is the first one, we just write the full name of the process over here. The details are in our physical data flow diagram and logical data flow diagram. These two parallel lines, or the open side rectangle, it shows the data storage of files. So we will be using these basic symbols to draw different data flow diagram. And our first data flow diagram is context data flow diagram, and it shows us an overview of the system. It's the highest level of data flow diagram. It does not include the details of the process. Physical data flow diagram explains the context diagram in more detail, and it shows the physical entities of the organization. Physical entities means those things which are involved in the process, but they exist physically, like a sales representative, a tax agent, or you can say a customer, or a particular department. All of them, they are physical entities. Or in other words, if I try to relate it with the REA model, which we studied in the previous topics, that was resource, event, and agent model. In that case, resources are physical, and then agents are also physical. So physical data flow diagram put the entities which are physical, it put them in the diagram. Whereas logical data flow diagram is a bit different. It emphasizes on the logics or the tasks which are performed by these physical entities in the organization. So instead of writing a tax agent, I will be writing the process of preparing the tax invoice. So I will not write the tax agent, I will write tax invoice preparation, like that. So logical flow diagram shows the tasks which these participants perform, not the job titles of those participants or the name of those resources. So starting with our first diagram, which is context diagram, and I will be using the same example for explaining the physical data flow diagram and the logical data flow diagram. Same example we will see in more detail. So if you see here, I have rectangles, or you can say squares, on most left side and the right side of the diagram. See the movement of my cursor. This employee, management, government agencies, human resource, timekeeping, they all are external parties. That's why I'm putting them in the square, or you can say the rectangle shape. We have arrow keys over here. They are showing us the movement of data, and then we have a circle which denotes the process. This is why what I explained few minutes back with symbols we are going to use. In order to draw a diagram, either it is context, physical, or logical data flow diagram, we should know what we are doing. So a paragraphic explanation is important before drawing these diagrams. So starting with firstly I will be telling you what we are doing over here, and then we are going to discuss them in more detail. So for example, this is the payroll processing system, how it works. So we have timekeeping. Timekeeping enters the time card data into the payroll processing system. And then we have human resource department. Human resource department, they know which employee deserve how much payroll, so they enter the payroll data, or if there is some change into the payroll system. And then from the payroll processing system, the checks are prepared which are given to the employees. And then if management wants to draw the summaries of the payroll, management can also extract it from the payroll system. And then the tax information, if we want to send it to the government agencies, tax about employee salaries, that will also be generated from the payroll processing system. If you look at this diagram, this is the basic diagram. It does not show us anything which is happening in this circle. Payroll processing system, how does it work? It's not telling us, but it is only showing us who are external entities. You can see 5 external entities are there, and it is showing us how the data flows from input entity to the output entity. But what inside this process happens, if you want to see that in more detail, you have to go towards the physical data flow diagram and the logical data flow diagram. Moving on towards physical data flow diagram. So physical data flow diagram elaborates the context diagram in more detail, and it decomposes them into the physical entities. So basically it focuses on the physical entities, tangible documents, and the reports through the system. So instead of putting the circle and name there a process, like in this diagram, if you see payroll processing system in the circle, I will not put the processing system over here, or the task. I'll be putting the name of the people, or you can say job titles of the people who perform this task. So it lists the job titles of the employees. It's more simple, it's more readable, and it's easier to interpret because the titles are there, so they will tell you in more detail that what happens in a particular process. So let's check the physical data flow diagram for this payroll processing system. So if you see here, still my input entities, which is timekeeping and human resource, they are same like context diagram, and also my output entities, employees, management, and government agencies, they are also the same. What is different? The process is broken down into the job titles. People involved in performing that process, their job titles are mentioned over here. So let's see how it works. Timekeeping department and the human resource department, they both provide the data to the data entry clerk who is in payroll department. So timekeeping department provides the time card data, whereas human resource department provide the payroll change data to the data entry clerk, and he is the one who enters the data and the changes into the system, which goes to payroll master file. Look here, it's a file, it's a storage place. That's why we are putting two parallel lines over here. Now from this master file, the payroll data is extracted by whom? By payroll cashier number 2.0. This payroll cashier prepares the paychecks, and these paychecks are given to the employees. From this payroll master file, if you see the middle arrow, it prints the payroll summary information for the management. And also from this payroll master file, the tax informations are collected by tax accountant, and he prepared the information which is given to the government agencies. So this is how physical data flow diagram differs from the context diagram. Moving on towards logical data flow diagram. Logical data flow diagram does not show the job titles like physical data flow diagram shows. It shows the tasks which these job titles performs. So it identifies what the participants do. So now the bubbles are going to indicate the task the system performs. Why do we need it? Because it helps the system developer or system designer to decide what are system resources to acquire, then also the activities which employees should perform, and how to put the internal control measures to protect the data. So that logical data flow diagram gives more details. So let's check. When I said here one data entry clerk in the first circle, and the second circle was payroll cashier, and the third circle was tax accountant. Now let's see how these job titles are changed. So let's move on towards the task. Do remember, before taking you towards this logical flow diagram, look at this first circle 1.0 data entry clerk. He performs two tasks. So you will see I have two circles in logical flow diagram. Look here, this is my logical flow diagram, and if you see here, timekeeping department provides the data which is provided to the see here who was getting it, data entry clerk. So now data entry clerk is doing a job with that. He is process employee hours worked. He is going to check how many hours each employee has worked, and he is going to put it in the payroll master file. Also, the human resource department provides him the data about the pay rate changes. So he processes the pay rate changes data into the system, into payroll master file. Then from this payroll master file, the paychecks data is extracted, and then that employee processes the paychecks, and he gives the paychecks to the employees. Also, the process payroll information is updated in the master file. Then payroll information is extracted by and tax accountant, he or you can say we, because we are not putting the tax accountant, we need to show what report. So two types of reports. If you see, before we said first report management can take in the physical data flow diagram, and then we said tax accountant can produce the report for government agencies. But now we cannot mention the job titles, we need to mention the tasks. So reports are generated. So I'm writing here process payroll reports. Which reports? One report for the government, which is about the tax information, and the second report for the management for the payroll summaries. So there is no proper, you don't have you just need to adjust the input entities processes in the diagram. If maybe when you will be preparing this diagram, you can put management in place of government and government in place of management. You can drag here in this empty place. So it's up to you how you structure it, but make sure that the diagram looks very clear when somebody is reading the diagram, and don't forget to number the processes in the order they appear. So these are three different categories of data flow diagram. Context is the summarized diagram. Then we have physical data flow diagram, which shows the physical movement of or you can say physical entities in the system. And then we had that logical data flow diagram, which shows us the activities instead of entities. It shows the activities, which are the processes which these job titles performs. So if you look at this diagram, now in this diagram, look at point number 3.0, circle this one where my mouse is. It says process paychecks. So it's a full process that how the checks are performed. So again, the logical flow diagram, this is summarized logical flow diagram. I can further expand this logical data flow diagram to show the full process of paychecks, point number 3. So how I will be doing it? I can do it with the help of decomposition. What is decomposition? Decomposition is a process in which we prepare the data flow diagram in more detail. So the one which I just showed you, this one in which I have 3.0, 2.0, 1.0, 4.0, these are level 0 data flow diagram. And if I'm going to further explain these processes, then I will have, let's talk about 3.0. I'll be explaining the full process, and in more circles will be there. So in that case, I will be explaining the logical data flow diagram at level 1. Right now it's level 0 because every process is just mentioned in the circle. So we can take the help of decomposition to exploring the data flow diagram to create more details. So the picture which I just showed you, that was level 0 data flow diagram. We can create level 1 data flow diagram by putting the more details on the data flow diagram. So look here, that process number 3. If you see, let me just take you back to the previous picture. Look here, 3.0 process paychecks. So the informations is taken out from the payroll master file, and we process the check, and the check is paid to the employee. So instead of putting this 3.0, I can put more circles to show the full process. So this is what we are doing here. This is the partial information. So the payroll master file, we are taking out the information. Which information? Paycheck data will be taking out. Number 3.1 will be computing the gross pay. Gross pay means any pay which is the basic pay, and then the deductions are applied regarding tax, regarding allowances deduction, or the old age benefit deduction. So all of them. So after gross pay, we will be calculating the pay deductions, and then when we minus these pay deductions from the gross pay, we will get the net pay. So can you see the whole process? And then the checks are prepared, and then this information is updated in the payroll master file, and these checks are paid to the employee. So this is the decomposition. It is more detailed information. Level 0 just show one circle with the process, what is happening over there, but level 1 is in more detail. There are some guidelines which we should follow when we are preparing the data flow diagrams. So they say avoid the details in the high level data flow diagram, which is the context diagram, or you can say the physical or the logical flow diagram. There with zero, they say don't explain the more details over there, because we don't put more than 5 to 7 processes in the logical data flow diagram. If you remember, in our logical data flow diagram, 1, 2, 3, 4 processes were there. Up to 7 we can take, but if more details are required, we will go towards the level 1 diagram. So different data flow diagrams should have different names. Give them the proper name, so that they are not mixed. All data stored have data flow into and out of them, unless they are used for archiving. So if you see, when I show you the diagram, we have inflows and we have outflows from the processes. So until they are the storage file, then you can say that they are not going to have intos and outos. And also it includes the temporary files as well, because the processing happens in the temporary files. Final receipts of this system informations are external entities. So external entities, I already explained you, it does not necessarily means that they're outside the organization. Like management is inside the organization, but they are not involved in the payroll process. That's why we call them external entities. Personnel or department processing the data of the current system are internal entities. So all the job titles which I showed you, they all were internal entities for the payroll processing. And the department is the payroll, or you can say the HR department, or the payroll department, or maybe it could be the part of the finance department. So whatever is the department where this processing is happening, so they are internal entities. Display only normal processing routines in the high level data flow diagram. As they said that don't put too much details in the high level data flow diagram. Firstly make the 0 level and then move on towards the level 1. Use only one entity to represent the several system entities that perform the same task. Why we should do that? Because let's suppose you have 3 data entry clerks. So you're not going to say data entry clerk 1, data entry clerk 2. No, one rectangle to mention data entry clerk is more than enough. We shouldn't go for the details for that. Okay, the second category of primary documentation after the data flow diagram is known as document flow charts. So what does document flow charts do? So it tells us that how the physical flow of documents happens through an organization, means from one place to another, how the documents flows. Like let's suppose if you purchase a machine, where its purchase document will move from in the organization, from which department to which department it will go. So it shows the document movement between the departments, between the groups or individuals. So from the one who is bringing the document in the organization and the one who is storing the document. So trace the physical flow of documents through an organization. Used to analyze the system for weaknesses and controls and reports. Why do we need it? Because it helps us in identifying that how can we make our internal control system strengthened by focusing on the weaknesses. Begin by identifying the departments and groups that handle the document. So if you want to create the document flow chart for a particular document, firstly identify which departments are involved in handling this document. This document moves from which department, and then the group who handles that. It will help you in properly putting the stuff in the document flow chart. So we need to use some particular symbols to create the document flow chart. So if you see here, this is a rectangle but a wavy from one right corner. It shows us it's one document. But if there are multiple copies, if you prepare multiple copies of a particular document, then can you see this down diagram, 1, 2 and 3. So the same wavy, but 3 copies or 2 copies, these are multiple copies of a specific document. This simple arrow key shows the document flow. and if the arrow key is dotted, then in that case only the information is transferred between the entities. It does not take the document with it. If you see this tilde document, this rectangle but little bit tilde, it's actually journal or ledger. It shows journal or ledger, it denotes that. And this one, carrier with a box on it, it shows us the physical flow of goods, means the inventory is going out. Then when the data entry is needed, then we make this this shape which is looking like a rectangle but a slanting rectangle from the top. If we want to show a mailing of something, then in that case we will make an envelope. And if you want to add the machine tape total utilized for the batch control, then in that case this vertical triangle rectangle with slopy edge will be there. This upside down triangle shows us that it's a storage, it's the permanent storage that you are storing the document here. So we put different some indications over here. If I write A, it means that documents are stored in the files alphabetically. If I put N, it means that they are stored numerically. If I put D means according to the date, so chronologically the document is stored in the file. This one, this was shape, this is the manual operation, that something manually happen. This small circle is very important because it shows us how the documents moves between different points. Like let's suppose I have two departments, inventory and the sales department, both are involved in the sales process. So if I want to connect something from the inventory department to the sales department, I have to do it with the help of this circle. So this is on page connector between the 2 points. On page means if the diagram is on the same page, but if the diagram is processed to the next page as well, then in that case for off page connectors I have to use this arrow type key. If you see this bracket, it shows us a notation symbol. We need to write the description if you want to write something for the description that you will be writing. And this symbol, zigzag symbol, it shows us the electronic data communication via mails or something. So these are different symbols we will be using to create the document flowchart. So a simple document flowchart, I have an example for you. You want to reorder the supplies, so for that purpose you need to fill the requisition form in requisition request form. So an employee is explaining this: when I need more stationery, for example, I fill out 2 copies of a good requisition form. In that copy he mentions that what things he needs, so 2 copies he prepare. Good requisition form, so they are going to denote it with GRF. I send the first copy to central supplies. So supplies department, he send them to first copy. The requesting department employee, he send 1 copy to the central supplies, the first copy, okay, and file the second copy here in the office, and second copy he files it in his office. So now let's make this diagram. We have 2 departments. If you focus over here, we have one requesting department who is requesting for the stationery, and the second department is central supplies department over here. So let's make this diagram. So document is good requisition form. So this is the requesting department. The employee is preparing 2 goods requisition form, 2 copies of it. They said first copy. If you read here, he said first copy. So the first copy he will send to the central supplies department. So on page connector, I need to connect this. I will not take the arrow key to the other side. No, it's not allowed in the document flow diagram. I need to put the connector here, that I will take this form, which is number 1, to connector A on the same page. So where is connector A? It's here, central supplies department. So from there it is coming over here, copy number 1. And the requesting department employee is going to file the second copy here. They did not tell us how they are going to file. If you remember the symbols, look at here. They said the filing should have either alphabetically, numerically, or chronologically, but they did not give any detail over here that how he files it. So just the file symbol is over here and we write file. So this is a simple document flow diagram. I have another one and this scenario is in front of you, example number 2. So we should first understand the process, then we can create the document flow chart. So example number 2, the task of hiring a new employee at your company. The process begins when a department develops a vacancy. So a department, when they needs an employee, they develop a vacancy, they need an employee. So the human resource director is explaining us the full process. So now the process will start. The department that develops a vacancy must first complete a job vacancy form, not copy, a job vacancy form, which it forwards to my department. Okay, so the request the department who needs the employee, they fill the job vacancy form, and that form is given to the HR department, because he says to my department. So the person who is explaining us, he is HR director, so the copy goes to HR department. We then advertise the position, and with the help of the requesting department, interview the applicant. So advertise the position, they did not mention any document for this. So document flow chart only shows the movement of documents, so we will not do anything for this. And with the help of requesting department, interview the applicant. Again, no document they have mentioned, so we will not take it. When the vacancy is filled, the HR department prepares a position hiring form in triplicate. So now this is a form, this is a document, position hiring form in triplicate in 3 copies. Now let's see where those 3 copies go. We file the first copy. So number 1 copy they will file in a manual file. So the document is kept in the HR department in a file, the first copy, okay, which is organized by employee social security number. So social security number is numerical, right? So in M number they are going to organize this file. We staple the third, so this is the first copy of the document which they will store in their own department. The third copy they will staple it with the job vacancy form and return it to the requesting department. So initially the job vacancy form which HR department has received, this one, they will staple this document, third copy, with job vacancy form and send it back to the requesting department, where the clerk files it alphabetically by employee's last name. So A in the file, I'll put A means alphabetically order. And what they do with the second copy, the HR department forwards the second copy of what is PHP, position hiring form, to the payroll department. Now the third department is there, payroll department, so second copy will be sent to them. So second copy they send to the payroll department. The payroll department uses the form as an authorized document to create the payroll record for the new employee. Again, they did not mention any new document in this. Thus the information of the form is keyed directly into the company's computer system using an online terminal located in the payroll office. Again, no document in this. This copy means this second copy, this copy of form PHP is then filed numerically N for reference and also as an evidence to that the form has been processed. Okay, so this is, we can see that 2 basic documents are there. First document is job vacation form which the requesting department creates and sent to HR. The second form is position hiring form which is prepared in 3 copies. The first copy department file in its on documents. The third copy it's stapled with the job vacancy form and send it to requesting department, and the second copy it send it to the payroll department. So this is how the documents are moving. Ignore the rest rest stuff, see where the document is going, only that we need to put in the diagram. So one page was enough for me to show all this document flow. So that's why we distribute the page into three departments. The first one is the requesting department, then the human resource department, then the payroll department. I'm not bringing the arrow key from the first department to the second department. No, I'm using connectors, on page connectors, because all of them are on the same page. Starting with job vacancy form, this is one form, so it is going to, this job vacancy form is going to the human resource department. Movement of document, because physically it is moving. And then after that I gave it a name of A in the circle. Okay, why I gave it the name of A, because I will be giving when I understand the process, I know that this document is not going to stay with HR. That's why I'm giving it a name of A, so that I can show its movement later on. Then they prepared the position hiring form. This is preparation, no? Manually they have to prepare. So if you remember this symbol of a vase I showed you before, let me just quickly show you manual operation. So they are preparing it. So when they prepare it into 3 copies, 1, 2 and 3. Remember the process. First copy is filed in this department, human resource department, according to the social security number. So they are numbers, so N, numerical. Third copy is it's stapled with this job vacancy form and send it to requesting department. So we have to send it, so that's why I'm giving it another name. I can give it the name of B if I'm considering it first. I can give it the name of C if I'm considering it first. So this A and C, both of them will be stapled, and they went to the requesting department. Okay, here can you see requesting department? So job vacancy form and position hiring form, third copy is over here, and they are filing them according to the last name of employees. It means that alphabetically order. And then the second copy, it's over here, we attached it with connector B. So this connector B is basically going to the payroll department. So B, position hiring form. Now they are going to enter the data into the online terminal. So let's see what this picture was depicting us over here. Where is it? The keying operation. Keying means computer, you are entering the data into the computer. Manual means on hand, you are preparing the data. So keying in, they are keying in into the system over here, and then this position hiring form is going to be filed numerically, again according to the number. So this is the full process of position hiring. So focus on the documents, what happened to them, who creates them, where they put them. So in the system they enter it or not. So only focus on the document, ignore other thing. Interview process, they did not say anything that the report was prepared or whatever. No, nothing was there, so that's why we ignored that. Another way of you can say creating, let's firstly look at the guidelines for drawing the document flow chart. So number 1, identify the all departments which are involved. So we always do that, right? Or we identify which department is involved. Then classify the documents and activities by the department. So we classify documents, that 2 documents were there and which department was doing what. And then identify the documents by numbers or colors. So we identify 3 copies, 2 copies, like that, right? And then account for the distribution of each copy. So where each copy will be going, with the help of connector we were identifying it. Then use on page and off page connector. If you remember, both of my flowcharts, they were completed in one page, so I didn't need the off page connector, but if I need, then I'll be using that in case when the diagram is long and I need the second page as well. Coordinate the connectors by letters or numbers. So if you see, we were arranging them according to the letters over here, A, B and C, right? And then annotate unclear activities, make the explanation of unclear activities. That's also here. Can you see the human resource and filed by employee social security number? Which number? So that's why they are saying social security number. And then identify filing sequence when necessary. So is it alphabetically A, is it numerically N? You need to identify. Avoid acronyms that could cause confusion. So they say that don't use those acronyms which creates the confusion, and consider automated flowchart tools. Use the tools which they have given us. Third way of documenting the accounting information system is system flowcharts, because we are not IT experts, so we will be taking its overview. That's it. The preparation is not our concern. So utilize, again, system flowcharts has so many symbols, so because we are not going to prepare these charts, so I'm not going to ask you to know about those symbols, but we should know what system flowchart shows us. So it's concentrate on the computerized data flow, because you entered the data into the system, then from which place to which place it goes, which types of reports, which type of master files, all those things are there. So it shows the electronic job stream of the data. And if you remember, I told you in a few chapters back that it's helpful for the audit trial. So it illustrates an audit trial through the system. Again, there are some guidelines. Arrange to read from top to bottom or left to right. So it could be from top to bottom or left to right altogether. If you have a chance to look at them, you will see that they are not either only vertical or only horizontal. It's a mix. Use standardized symbols. System flowcharts also have its own symbols. There must be a process symbol separating an input and output symbol. So it is known as sandwich rule. So what is the sandwich rule? Sandwich rule says that every process has input and an output symbol. The process cannot be complete without getting the input and without giving the output to someone. So this rule is known as sandwich rule. Use on-page and off-page connector, like the document flowchart they said. Sketch a flowchart before designing the final draft, because it's a little complicated, so that's why it's important that draw a sketch, discuss it, then go for the final draft. Use annotated descriptions and comments in the flowcharts for clarification. Just like for data flowchart we did, we can also do for the system flowcharts as well. Fourth way of documenting accounting information system is known as process map. So the process map is actually, it shows us the full business process, and it can help us in easily understanding that how the business process flows. It is helpful for the auditors in many ways. Starting with, auditors can understand that the processes, how they work in the organization, how the operations work, and then it's easy for them to document their understanding as well. Why do they document it? Because their job is to find out the weaknesses and the problems in the business processes. So here is a simple, easy order fulfillment process by a customer. Customer wants the goods and he placed the order for the company. So if you see over here, customer, we place all the entities over here. Customer is there, sales department, credit and billing department, and the shipping department on the left column. Now what customer does, it will come in front of me. What sales department does, it will come in front of me. Credit department in front of us, shipping department in front of it. So in the steps, how the process moves on, like that we do. So the decisions in the process maps are always in diamond shape. Can you see? Credit, okay, on hand, question mark. So decision, whenever you have to take, you will be putting them in the diamond shape. Customer, it orders the goods, number one box. Then this good order is submitted, he submit this to the sales department, right? Sales department send this order to the credit department to check the credit, that is this customer eligible for the credit or not. If his credit position is his credit position okay or not, this is the job to decide by credit and billing department. So if they say yes, it is okay, then this order is further processed and the shipping department checks the inventory is available or not. So now they have to take a decision, do we have it or not, is it on hand or not. If it is on hand, means it's yes, then they pick up and they ship the goods, and these goods invoice is sent sent to the credit and the billing department, and the credit and billing department directly send it to the customer for the payment. So customer prepares the payment. So this is how the full process order works. So these were 4 basic categories of the primary documentations, but we also have some other documentation tools as well, like we have program flowcharts, we have decision tables. So we will take them from the definition perspectives. Number one, program flowcharts. Now the programs, they are not easy to develop. They have millions of instructions are there which are involved, so they need proper planning, and the proper working is required whenever you are going for the developing of the program. So IT professionals, they create the program flowcharts. These flowcharts, they outline the processing logic of the computer program, and as well as all the steps which are there. So it will be helpful for the reviewers to check that the program is developed strong and all those things. So program flowcharts helps in the development of the computer programs. Moving on towards the decision tables. So basically a decision table is a table of conditions and different processing tasks, which tells us about the possibility that if, for example, there is a credit approval thing, or you can say the payment. So if, for example, the amount of the payment is less than $500, then the department manager's signatures are okay. Otherwise, the approval of the next authority is required. Then the next authority condition. So different condition we have to check. So indicate what action to take for each possibility. So for example, if the department manager does not have the authority, so he will approve it, but now approval pending from the senior authority will be there in the system. So it is used when the computer program includes many conditions and different actions. This decision table is used as an alternative to the program flowcharts, or sometimes it is used in addition to the program flowcharts as well. So this is it about the coverage of documenting accounting information system. I hope you understand it well, but if you have some confusions, you can write them in the comment section, and inshallah I will be answering your comments over there. See you next time with the next video, and if something is troubling you, please do not hesitate to write back to me. Take care everyone.